All right, here we go. Question number 5 from our Precalculus homework number 12 in MyLab Math. They want us to find parametric equations for an object moving in a clockwise direction along the ellipse given here as x squared over 9 plus y squared over 4 equal 1, beginning at 3, 0 and requiring 4 seconds for a complete revolution. Now there's a lot going on here. Let's go ahead and jump over to our scratch work and we will explain how to calculate our two parametric equations. Now, first things first, they indicated that this is an ellipse, but if they didn't specify that, we would know this is an ellipse because we have an addition between the two fractions and the denominators are different when our variables are squared. So this is an ellipse. What I want to do is I want to simplify these fractions and make it so that the entire fraction is squared. So I know that 9 is 3 squared and 4 is 2 squared. So then I can rewrite this equation as x over 3 quantity squared plus y over 2 quantity squared equal 1. And then I'm going to notice that this resembles my Pythagorean identity that we've used a couple of times already. And the reason that I wrote the cosine squared first instead of the way it normally looks, which is sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1, is because the x is first and we know that cosine is x. So here what I can do is I can say cosine of t, since this fraction is squared, cosine of t is x over 3. I can also say that sine of t is y over 2 because sine is y. And so now I've got the beginnings of my parametric equations. Now, let's bring in the rest of the information and start putting this together. First of all, it said beginning at 3, 0. So if I substitute for x and y, 3 and 0 respectively, that would give me that cosine of t is 1 and sine of t is 0. I hope you can see if I plug in x to be 3, 3 over 3 is 1. If I plug in y to be 0, 0 divided by 2 is 0. And what this implies is that t, which is our angle, is going to start at 0 degrees or 0 radians, whichever unit you want to use, because cosine of 0 is 1, sine of 0 is 0. Also because if you go to the rectangular coordinate system and you plot the point 3, 0, that is in the direction of 0 degrees. Now the next thing they mentioned that it is moving in a clockwise direction. And remember, if our angle spins clockwise, then that means the angles are getting negative. Positive angles go counterclockwise, negative angles go clockwise. So that means that theta is going to be less than 0 as it spins around, indicating that our angle is going to be negative. And the last piece of the puzzle is our angular speed. The fact that it has to make one revolution in 4 seconds. Now let's try not to lose sight of our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to convert into parametric equations. So we need x of t and we need y of t. So that means I need to solve this first equation for x. Multiplying both sides by 3 is going to give me 3 cosine of t. For the other equation, if I multiply both sides by 2, that's going to give me y is 2 sine of t. And the only thing I have left to figure out is the coefficient of the angle, because the angular speed, what that affects, it affects the coefficient of the angle, which in our case is t. So it's time to recall some of our trigonometry concepts. We know that for sine and cosine, the period was 2 pi over b. But here's what you need to know. The period is also the angular speed, which is the 4 seconds. So for our problems, pulling this all together now, the period, which is the angular speed, is 4 seconds. And since we're going clockwise, meaning that our angles are going to go from 0 to 2 pi, but they're going to be negative, that means that that's going to be negative 2 pi over b. And then once I solve for b, I'm going to have the coefficient of t. So here we go, multiplying both sides by b to get rid of my fraction is going to give me 4b equals negative 2 pi, and then dividing both sides by 4 is going to give me a value of b to be negative pi over 2. And again, remember from our trigonometry that b is the coefficient of the angle, which in our case is the coefficient of t. And so plugging that in, our parametric equations become x of t equals 3 cosine of negative pi over 2t, and y of t is 2 sine of negative pi over 2t. And these should be the parametric equations we need. All right, here we go. Inputting these into MyLab Math. We've got 3 cosine of negative fraction. I need a pi over 2. Don't forget the t, close parenthesis. And then for y, that was 2 sine of negative fraction pi over 2. Don't forget your t, close parenthesis, and let's check. And that's going to do it for that particular problem. So if you have any questions or comments about anything covered in this video, please feel free to leave those in the comment section below, or you can text me. And thanks for watching.